Welcome to the Outthinker Blogcast, the blogcast dedicated to helping you outthink your competition. My name is Krippendorff. This week I'm going to talk about President Barack Obama and Steve Jobs. Last night, you may know, Obama gave his State of the Union address, and in that address he talked about out-innovating the competition. But if you focus just on his agenda of clean energy and education, you miss a subtle insight into Obama's skill as an innovator. You see, Obama knows a secret. It's the same secret that Steve Jobs knows, or Muhammad Yunus, the grandfather of microcredit, knows. Really, anyone who has brought anything significant into the world knows this secret, and the secret is simply this: people don't think, they react. That's the secret. See, while writing my last book, The Way of Innovation, I came across a fascinating experiment that illustrates this point. Some cognitive scientists were studying how babies reacted to the popping of a balloon. The first time that a balloon pops, a baby doesn't respond at all. You pop a few more times and they start noticing the balloon, then they start reacting, and then they start reacting without thinking. They start reacting automatically. By the time a baby is an adult, they react automatically without thinking. They're startled by the popping of a balloon. They're programmed, if you will. So people react without thinking. Indeed, academics estimate that 94% of our behavior is driven by subconscious thought. We hear a balloon and we automatically flinch. So what does that have to do with innovation? See, great innovators understand that and they work with that. They know that it is more difficult to reprogram someone's automatic response to a pop balloon than it is to simply replace that balloon or show them that a balloon is not popping. Let's look at Steve Jobs and Apple. They know this. See, Apple made two big announcements last week. One is that Steve Jobs is taking a permanent leave of absence, and the other is that profits soared 78% over the fourth quarter prior year. There are two ways that they could have sequenced that information, and their sequencing of that information would determine what story or what balloon people reacted to. They could have led with profits. The story would have gone like this: Apple profits soar, but Steve Jobs is leaving. That would have startled the market. That would have created a story of a great company under a successful CEO who's now leaving and what is going to happen. But instead, they did something more intelligent. They led with Steve Jobs leaving. So the story goes something like this: Steve Jobs is leaving, but Apple profits soar. Do you see how that story is an entirely different one, even though the facts are the same? That's because markets and investors, they don't react to the facts. The facts are that for 365 days of the year in which Apple's profit soared, Steve Jobs was CEO of Apple. But because they were careful in how they sequenced the releasing of the information, they created a narrative, a story that triggered the automatic response of Steve Jobs leaving, but Apple's a great company. The stock price barely moved. I think it dropped 4 or 5% and was back up in a matter of days. See, innovators know that you want to link to stories that cause the reactions that you want people to have. So Obama gets this. He never argues that he didn't argue that the world is changing, that we're entering uncharted territory. Instead, he reached to a past moment, a past story that people already know, that he knows what the reaction will be to, and he alludes to that. He activates that. He activated the Sputnik story when Russia beat us into space. He strategically chose to pop the balloon that causes the response he desires. America waking up to the challenge and out-innovating the threat. We came from behind and we led Russia to the moon, and then we led the world into space. We became great out of that challenge. How people speak reveals how they view the world, and if you listen enough to how innovators talk, you'll see that they rarely make the argument that the world is changing, that the old worlds don't apply. To do so is to give up your control in how people will respond, because you don't know how people will respond to a world of completely different rules. Instead, they suggest we are re-experiencing something that we have already reacted successfully to. They think carefully. about which balloon to pop, keeping in mind how we are going to react. It's really a simple trick. The secret is people don't think, they react. You can apply this tool, this principle, to help your business by asking 3 questions. 1, how do I want my customers or my employees or my business partners to respond to the current situation? 2, what story does this remind me of? What historical account, whether fictional or non-fictional, has the characters respond the way you want your people to respond? And how can I link the current situation to that story and show that we are reliving that story? I hope that was useful to you. My name is Kaihan Krippendorff. This is the Outthinker Blogcast, the blogcast dedicated to helping you outthink